Arr! Hey up, folks, it is Wednesday, the 15th of October, 2025. Welcome to Lessons from the Book. But it isn't Lessons from the Book today, guys. It isn't, because last week I was going to continue this vein of this understanding caged. This is the idea, yes, is like, basically, if you take everything that I did the other week with the chords, we did the scales, and then we missed a week because of technical itches happening here in Shez Miski. I'm afraid, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Sometimes just technical things happen. There's nothing much we can do about it. But if you take them chords and you take them scales and you take the arpeggios, then what happens is you have the trifecta of things that you need to understand when it comes to the caged system, guys. This, it's fortunate that this is live. I'm so glad that this is a live thing, because if I was going to try and condense this down into like a 15-minute lesson, and then upload it, it wouldn't. The body of the work of these 3 lessons, there's a lot of content here, guys, and that's what I'm thinking. And to be fair, there's people selling this, but I'm not that. You know me, you know my shtick. So the thing is, here's the thing, yeah. So I'm showing you this, yeah. This is the way I see it. This is the way I understand caged, and so and it all makes complete sense to me. But there is a missing piece of the puzzle with caged, which I'm going to get into today as well. So we're going to look at caged major and minor arpeggios all the way up the neck. Now, if this is your first time here, yeah, I'm Ricky. I'm your host and your fellow frethead. I absolutely love the guitar, and I hope you do too. And that's why you're here. So this is it. I've been teaching for a very long time. Yes, and yes, as you can see, I've had a little bit of a trim at the back here, and I've left a bit on top here. I'm just seeing what happens with it. We're still growing it, but there you go. So that's where we're at today. So thanks for tuning in today. If it's your first time, let me know. Oh, hang on, what's going on here? There's a random curl appeared there. So I will go through this. And like I say, it's caged major and minor arpeggios all the way up the neck. Now, I don't know if you're in PDF Club, but the PDFs for this that I've created have been quite extensive. And I think actually with today's, you're probably heading on for between around about 20-25 pages of diagrams for the whole of this thing. So if that isn't a good good enough reason to join PDF Club, I don't know what is. But like I say, this isn't from the book. Now the thing is, don't be put off that this isn't in the book, because it's a whole topic of itself. I have touched upon it within the book, just kind of like to give you a preview of that sort of stuff. Now the thing is, and you might be saying, well, what's the book, Ricky? What the hell's the book? Well, the book is this. This is 80 lessons in here about the book, in the book, and these are all just really good, like, things that you need to know, essential stuff. And if you want to grab the book, then you can grab a copy of the book just there. There it is. So that's going to help you. If you do want the book, you can get it in paperback, you can get it in spiral, or you can get it in ebook, and the links are all in that place there, rickysguitar.com /store. If you want to go there, then you can get it as the ebook. If you get it in the ebook, or even if you're a member of the fretboard fraternity, then you'll find it in the learning tab there, and all the videos, they're all put together there. They're all in the same spot. Nice and easy for you to find. You don't have to go hunting around YouTube for the lesson that goes with the video, which is always beneficial, really, not hunting around on YouTube for stuff, because those wormholes. Next thing you know, you go looking for how to do cage chords, and next thing you're looking at somebody getting a big pimple popped on the back, That's the way it works. That's the internet for you. It's all about attention and distraction. Here we go. So we've got the Fretboard Fraternity. Even if you don't have the book and you want to just come along and see what the Fretboard Fraternity is all about, then there you go. It's free. Don't worry about that. You can come and hang out, show pictures of guitars, and there was a dog posted in there today. Lem posted a picture of his doggy in there today, which we appreciate. I always appreciate a good picture of a dog. Especially if it's doing funny dog things as well. So, and like I say, the PDFs to this will be in PDF Club. If you want to find out more about PDF Club, go there, rickysguitar.com/get PDF Club. There will be, no doubt, Mrs. Ricky, are you in the crow's nest? She's in the crow's nest. She's in the crow's nest upstairs. So that means that she's there to bang a coupon code in the chat here if you were interested in getting a discount off PDF Club for turning up. Just for turning up. And I think that's fair enough. That's all that business taken care of there, guys. Links for everything is just usually in the video description below if you're wondering where they are and you lose the chat or whatever. It's good to be back, actually. So there we go. Let's have a look. So, like I say, if it's your first time here, then you will not know that basically I like to say hello to everybody. And if it is your first time, then let me know it's your first time. If you've got the book, tell me you've got the book. And if it is your first time, we'll say hello and we'll give you a round of applause that sounds something like this. There you go. So, right, so let us know you're a newbie, and we will all welcome you to the community here in the chat. They call it the chat, but is it really chat? Because some people just say it's waffle, Ricky. So we have the waffleometer, the waffle timer just here. So, but the reason the waffle timer's there is because I like to go through the roll call, say hello to everybody who's rocked up for tonight's lesson, and that's that's the way of the world. It's the way the world should be, don't you think? So there we go. Without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into all of this. I'm going to get into it, and then let's have a look. Let me just have a look here. So, and I'll tell you what I'll do is while the waffleometer is up there, this lesson is not in the book. So we'll put that up there, and I'll say hello to everyone here in the chat. Good evening, Greg Barrows. Evening, FretHeads. Arpeggios are us. Winston is in North Dallas. We've got Stefan Weber from Germany. I hope I'm saying that right. Ken Guthrow is here as well in the chat. Oh, look, guys, normal service has been resumed. Oh, there we go. Before she goes off to Girl Guides, I get a Circle of Thirds mug with a delightful brew of Yorkshire's finest tea. As you can see, it's the correct colour there. That's the correct colour. We put milk in, no sugar. I'm sweet enough as I am. But here we go. Let's have a see what it's like. See, it's a good one. Oh, bang in. Oh, that's that's very hot. Like it, molten lava. There you go. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's all part of the routine. It's all part of the shtick, guys, isn't it? So, right, as I was saying, let's get back to the chat. We've got John in the chat here. Let me get rid of that there. John's in the chat. He says, hey up, old lad. Now go, now then, lad. Now then, lad. Now then, lad. There we go, fellow Yorkshireman. Now we got Winston. I was wondering how many colourful metaphors did he use while trying to fix the issue from last week? Yes, there were a few deletive expletives, let's say. Lots of just general frustration, because these are my screen glasses and these are my regular glasses, and these are the glasses that I got that kind of work but don't, but I'm trying them because I paid for them. And I've got reading glasses over there. So it's just seeing things. When you're pulling stuff to bits, it's just a nightmare. Guys, yes, make sure you wallop the like if you're here. If you're here, sure that you mean to be here and wallop that like. So we've got Malcolm Dengate in the chat in Sussex. We've got Anton, says welcome back. Well, welcome back to you. Thank you for turning up again. Richard Grissom is in sunny Florida. Sounds lovely. Irene S is in California. Telefunken 12AX7 Eyup. Christopher Campagna is there. Thank you for reaching out, mate, and seeing if I was okay. Everything's fine. Everything's hunky-dory. Thank you very much. Means a lot. Jerry Linde, hello from Sweden. Thunder Ace, my OG. There we go. Back. We are back here. Dave Dotek, family is back. Love that. You see, I love that. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's, Small World Feature says, it's alive. Yes, it is alive. It's curious, we're coming up on Halloween, aren't we there? So Phil James, hey fella, I know the face, but can I put a name to it? Anyway, what's this PDF thing you have on offer? Yes, PDF Club. It's pretty darn amazing, really. It just keeps on topping up all the time. Lots of interesting stuff. I'm just about to go. Let me just say something, a little bit of a tangent. Yeah, I'm just about to do a new planning phase with PDF Club and got some other things that I want to get done before the end of the year, and some other things set up. Not going to say too much, but yeah. So that's where I'm at. But PDF Club, yes. So some interesting some developments will be coming for PDF Club and the whole website, in fact, and the whole way I present material. So here we go. We've got Dave SVT, Eyup, Mr. and Mrs. Ricky. She's upstairs in the crow's nest, like I say. She's up there. She's monitoring everything. You know, that's what behind every great man is an even greater woman monitoring everything. Am I right, Mrs. Ricky? Yes, very right. I'm very correct. She said I was correct, so I must be. So Wayne Johnson, greetings from Cowtown. Mike Allen, Eyup Ricky and Mrs. Ricky, lovely to see you looking so marvellous. And Eyup to all you fretheads. Great to be here with you all. All right, that's a wonderful sentiment there, Mike. Thank you very much. Vicky DeMeo is in Kentucky. Stuart Smith, hi all. Mark Carter is in Alabama. We've got Tony Davis in Liverpool. Hope that everyone has had a great day. Hope everyone has had a great day. Ryan Whitey, I like that with the shades on. We've got that going on there. Martha Minton, hi all. Looks like another great lesson coming up. Excited in Missouri. Kevin McEvoy is here as well. Looking forward to another lesson. Araman 3048. I'll say it a little bit posher there. Eyup Paul. Will it be green or Yorkshire tea? It's Yorkshire tea tonight, as you can see. The world has been put to rights. We have some milk. Renee Hartman says hi all. Anik is Anik said finally a Ricky class. Anik saying that there. And I should say, I don't know if you're on Facebook, because this is broadcasting as well to the Facebook page. If you are not getting the chat, hopefully the chat's coming up on screen there when I put that up. I've still got to figure out a kind of a plug-in to have a scrolling thing. It's one of the things on my agenda. Wingo says, hey all. Richard Jeffrey, hi. Rattlesnake Roy says, Arpeggios sound best when you roll the R. Hello from Oklahoma. Robin Tate, hi everyone. I've been here since last Thursday. Oh mate, Robin, don't do that. You know. Oh, well, maybe. I hope you've watched all the other videos on the channel. Tim C, hello all. We've got Cat Boba in Vancouver. We've got Rocket. Hi Ricky, can't wait. Please hurry. Gixaron, hello. Bionic built-in is in the guitar portal, awaiting transport. Permission to come aboard, sir. Hoping technical reasons they have been. Relaxing meditation, says Eyup Ricky and all are well. Keep up your great work. Thank you very much. John Steer in sunny Texas. John Carver, welcome back. Glad you sorted out those gremlins. The Analog Kid, Eyup everyone. Christian Hailson, I'm going to say Hailson. Evening, first time here from North Jutland, Denmark. Here we go, we've got Denmark. It's almost got Denmark in the house. It's like the Eurovision Song Contest a little here. The UK will not win. So Randy Holder in North. Good to have you here, Randy. I haven't seen you for a while, mate. I hope you're doing well as well, mate. Mario von Leuven, welcome back. We've got Michael Davis in the chat. Mario's in Antwerp. Chimp number 1. Hello there, everyone. I just love the Wednesday lessons. Thank you so much, Ricky. You're more than welcome. And thank you very much, Martha. We have a super sticker from Martha. Pear character looking at himself in the mirror saying, thanks for being you, with hearts popping out of his eyes. That sounds wonderful. I love the alternative description for that. But thank you very much at the beginning of the lesson. That's a beautiful present and a surprise and a gift. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Michael Davis says, glad I'm back. True. Sean Armour. Hey all. We've got Terry Lauder. Hey all. Nice thunderstorm in Utah. Coffee and pencil in hand. There you go. Three Dogs Brewery. Hey up, friends. Hey up, Neil. Good to have you here. Chimp number 1. Martha, nice one. Thank you. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's it. Noel Rodriguez, hey up. Noel from Greensboro, NC. David Doty, book is mandatory. It is if you're into your guitar and you want to learn guitar, then it is. I think it's up there really. Myself, you can get it if you really want, but you must try and try. Yes, definitely. Does YouTube also show ad in between live sessions? That's something I don't, when you're live, in the live stream, there's no monetization. I turn it off. I turn the ads off during the live because I don't know when it's going to pop up. But it's like afterwards I have some degree of control about where it pops up, where ads pop up. But during the live, I never put them up. So never turn them on. Did you just turn it on? No, I just got an ad on YouTube. They're cheeky, aren't they? Yeah. So, but saying that, YouTube turns ads on stuff. There's a whole contentious issue about this. That even channels that aren't monetized have ads put on top of them, and obviously, if they get an ad put on top, they don't get any money for it, which is a thing. But it's YouTube. It's how YouTube pay the creators, and it's like yeah, it is. Even though it's quite a poor kind of exchange really. Sometimes you think to yourself, yeah, and they do take a hefty chunk. But it's their platform, so they can do what they want. Then this is the thing. So there's YouTube show in between live sessions. If it's after the live and it's classed as an upload, but it isn't, then there will probably be ads on this. Terry Lauder says the book is excellence in your hand. Thank you very, very much for that. Smash the like button, folks. Bill says. Richard Shields, hey up, mate. Good to have you here. Shauna, Class Clown here. Hello, Class Clown. Who? You or me, Shauna? That's the thing. Lawrence, hey up. It's everyone back from London. Just a long weekend in the US. Jet lagged as hell, but I need a dose of Ricky this evening. Oh, that's wonderful. I hope you everything's fine down there in London. And you get a good night's kip tonight there, Lawrence. We are scrolling down to the bottom. Wayne's Music World. We've got guitar, we've got music, we've got this going on. John SM says, oh, I'm trapped like a fool. I'm in a cage. I like what you did. I must just say, I can't remember who it is that did that song, but it's a cracker. Back in the day, if you've caught me on the live stream before, back in the day when I was a teenager, I was very much into my dancing, and I used to do all sorts of different dancing, and this was a song that I used to like to dance to in my patent leather shoes and smart dressed shirt and trousers. Yeah, so skinny slim. Oh, those golden days. So I like that song. But it's nothing to do with that. Hadar McQueen, hey Ricky, hey all, great to be here. Chuck is here. Birdsong, hey up from Cabo St. Lucas. Bob Dodge. Oh, well done, Bob. Thank you for being here. Big round of applause. Yes, and because Bob's here, that means you've got to hit the like. That's what you're going to do. Maria Muggs Davis is in the chat as well. And the countdown starts, yes. Veteran Vibes, Texas is in the house. We have Texas in the house, so that's good to know. Green Swamp Tea, Richard Grissom says there. No, it's normal tea that we have. We've got Dale Sam, time for the weekly lesson. Tony Mason says, hi, Ricky. We've got, who else have we got? Michael Whalen, Marblehead. Marblehead in the house. Was the police academy? Jughead. That was... I like that scene with the Z, isn't it? Paul B, hey up, governor. Huang David, good. David from Taiwan, that's what we want to see. We've got a rattle mix from all over the world. Ingo Noel, hey up and like and subscribe. Yes, indeed. Let's have a look at who else we've got. Hey all from Ontario, Canada. We've got Paul there. Rocket67. Funny, just had an ad. Never had that in a live stream. Oh, I wonder if they're changing something. Please don't, YouTube. I like that to be like it is. That sucks. We've got Lawrence Deans. Hi from Inverness. A beautiful part of Scotland is that. Onno van Leersum in Hopla. We've got, who else? We've got, Ingo. No, thank you very much. Glad you are back. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that, sir. Your kindness. The waffle with syrup. We've got a minute left. We've got a minute left there. We've got Richard. Hi all from gloomy Wiltshire. Oh dear. Well, do you know why it's gloomy there, Richard? Because it looks like you're toting a drum kit. If you had a guitar there, then that might be a bit better. We've got Aaron Braithwaite. Good evening, everyone from Brizzle. We've got Natch 10 Tube. Is that an Ernie in the lap? An Ernie? No, it isn't an Ernie. It's a Pacifica. It's a Pacifica. We like these ones. We like the Pacificas. Very good guitars. We also have... Oh, Greg, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that, the super chat. Very much appreciate it. I hope you're going to enjoy this tonight and tie this into everything that we've done in the last two. Paul said 2 ads so far today. Oh, crikey. Yes, they're on today. Okay. Just got, as I was saying, it should be off. Naughty bad YouTube. Oh, crikey. I'll have to check and see if there's any new settings, because I don't like that. I don't like that on the live. It's just like it's got to cut in, isn't it? Eva is very, very clever here. I've got to put this up, guys. John Essam says, no Hads here. Is it a local thing? Eva G has come up with an acronym for Eyup. Eyup equals enhance your understanding and performance. It could be. It generally just means hello in Yorkshire. You know, hello and how are you? You know. So Andrew Nicholson, Colonel Abram. That's it. That's the one. John Carver. I'm not getting ads, but it was on my laptop. Looks like the barbers in Yorkshire are back in. They are. They had to put scaffolding around and and traffic lights. Crikey. Where I live, there's just bloody traffic lights everywhere. You can't get anywhere without traffic lights. And it was me getting my hair done. We have Winston Ellis, Winston from Wales, in the chat as well. So Ingo says, but never have and pay an awful lot of money to. Do you know something? I have YouTube Premium, and I must say, because I'm on YouTube all day, every day, having the ads on is just like a handbrake. You know, it's like you're trying to do something, and then there's an ad on, and I've just got so used to it, and I'd rather. Then this is my rationale with it as well, because musicians who are on Spotify get paid peanuts. I really do not like Spotify at all. If you know anything about me, I really do not like it. I think it's an exploitative business, and you know, I just can't. I can't sign up to that. I couldn't subscribe to it. So for me, fortunately, with YouTube Premium, you get the YouTube music, and so if it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. So you get your you get no ads on your videos, but you get all of the music. It plays in your car and everything else. So like you just put your albums on, there's new releases and stuff. And I dig into it, regularly every week. And I know for a fact that if people are uploading there, they get a better revenue share than they would do on Spotify. But I always think that Bandcamp is the ultimate one for musicians because they get the most sort of money for the work there, I think, really. So Bandcamp, I think if you're going to support musicians, Bandcamp's a good way to find new musicians as well. It's really useful. So that's the whole play with ads, isn't it? It's like you pay to play, and they say if you're paying nothing to be on the platform, then you are the product. So that's what they say, really. But there you go. Oh, skippable. Right, we'll have a look. We'll have a look and see how we get through this. Let's have a look. Where are we going down here? I think that's just about it. Oh, hang on. The wine siren. I like that. The wine siren says, what is the PDF Club? PDF Club is essentially, it's an archive of all of my video lessons here on YouTube. I think last counted there's something like 500. A lot of those lessons have PDFs, handouts. Like you do a class at school. If you remember, you do a class at school and your teacher just used to give you a handout for your homework. So that's what it is essentially. It's all of the PDFs that I've done from running the channel. So that's what it is, and I've just compiled them all in one place. Now, if you're in the Fretboard fraternity, it's basically like a sister community, and it's all chronologically linked there, but there's extra resources, and there's like blank worksheets and workbooks and all sorts of different stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty useful if you want to dig into all the stuff. And I will say, I think the lifetime deal is a pretty good deal, to be honest. And Mrs. Ricky will put a discount code in there as well, because I'm going to be doing PDF Club for a hell of a long time, as far as I'm concerned. Right, okay. So look, I didn't beat the timer. The timer has beat me again. So there we go. Let's have a look. Let's get rid of that there. We're gonna get rid of this here, and then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get started with this, guys. So that's the roll call. Like I say, get that like walloped if you are ready. If you are ready to get into this here, and what I'll do is I'll crack on. Yeah, I'll crack on. So I've just got my notes here, just having a little nosy, see what's going on. Make sure everybody is getting the audio, because that was one of the things that was really ticking me off the other week. Right. So, okay. Now, if you remember, what we did is the other week we've looked at two elements of the cage system so far. So what we've got is we've got multiple frameworks that we're really superimposing on top of each other. The caged system is just one framework, yes, and what we ultimately want to be able to do is to tap into whichever framework we want to. It might be that it's like scales. Let's talk about scales. Scales can be box patterns. They can be 3-note per strings, which is 3 NPS. You might have seen that. There are Berkeley patterns. There are one set of patterns that I learned many years ago, and I kind of dig into a little bit, which is the Jimmy Bruno patterns. He had his own system for scales and that sort of stuff. Which I think it might have leaned a little bit on Joe Pass, which is kind of like where we want to really, if we want to attribute the cage system, we attribute it really to Joe Pass, who coined the term caged forms. He was the one that really kind of coined the phrase, really. I want to say that. So, but for me, I had when I was at music college, I had a lesson with my guitar teacher, and he showed me some Charlie Christian stuff. We were doing some jazz, learning some jazz standards, and he showed me some Charlie Christian, and it was this idea of chord tone solo, and he said, yeah, it kind of orbits the orbit around the chords. And right, okay, so this cage thing, okay, it's like you've got the chords. We're going to use the chords really as kind of like north stars, and we can break those chords, those cage chord north stars, down into smaller chunks. Yes, we can break them down into the 3-note triads, the string set triads. We've done that before. On this channel, we do, you know, I like to dig into that a lot and show you how to use your 5R3s as north stars to find other intervals for your chords and for your scales. So we're using those chords as these north stars, and then orbiting around that north star, and we can find loads of other things, and that becomes a starting point. You always need a starting point. When you sit down and you think, right, I'm going to learn this song, you need a starting point. For me, one of the things is, what key am I in? Yeah. Once I know what key I'm in, I know what chords I'm going to have. And once I know what chords I have, then next thing is for me to find them in the cage positions. Once I have the cage positions, then what I can do is I can say, right, that's where the chord lives, and superimposed on top of that is where the scale lives. Yes, and then on top of that we get the arpeggio. And those are the 3 ways that we understand pitch, guys, right? So really, chords, I kind of think of chords are generally thought of as being polyphony, many sounds, okay? Whereas scales, because you play one note at a time, yeah, you get monophony, one sound at a time. Now, if you think about it, guitar, this can make 6 sounds at once because we've got 6 strings, and that's the way it works. So this is a polyphonic instrument. Whereas if you take something like a saxophone, then that's going to be a monophonic instrument because you can only produce 1 sound at a time. You can't really play chords on a saxophone. I don't think you can anyhow. Yeah, unless there's some kind of weird Tuvan throat singing method or something that I've not come across in all my years of guitar education. So what I'm saying is that those are the ways we can think of this. Now, so the chords are the polyphony and the scales are the monophony, okay? And in between, what we can do is we can take the chords and create something called arpeggios. Now, an arpeggio is where you play the notes of the chords one after another, instead of at the same time, as in polyphony, but you play them more like a scale. So you've got the quality, you've got the notes from the chord, but you're playing them one at a time, like you would do it as if it was a scale. So it's kind of like an in-between sort of thing. Now, the beautiful thing about arpeggios is because they are essentially the embodiment of the chord, then it means that if you get these patterns, then they're a great way of creating lines with your scales. And this is the whole thing. Once you start adding a cheeky arpeggio here and there, yeah, to your scales and to your licks and everything, then it starts to sound everything starts to sound a little bit more interesting. And this is a really cool way to break out of that pentatonic box thing or a lick way of playing, and it it's I think it tends to get more associated, arpeggios, with shred stuff, but it doesn't have to be shred, because what you can do is you can break it down. And like I did before with the 3 master shape, the 3 master shapes, then the master triads, then you can break it down into the root position, root 3rd, 5th, or then we can go first inversion, goes from 3rd, 5th root, or we can do second inversion, which is 5th root 3rd, which happens to be 3 of the cage shapes. Lovely, perfect. Yes, so hopefully I'm just kind of trying to distill and give you a vision of what all this stuff is. Okay, so and hang on, Ingo says something. Because of all that I learned the last days in the major scale normal, in addition to 3 note per string in all 7 positions, now I got much quicker. And those 7 positions are also different modes. Positions are also 7 as on 3P. 3. They're 2 different frameworks, Ingo. But what we want to do is we want to We want to be able to just like, it's like a back alley. You go, all right, I'm going to do a shortcut. I'm going to go through that way. And because you go use a different framework, it just sounds a little bit different. You're widening your vocabulary palette. Yeah, because the technical aspect of playing 3-note per string versus playing a box pattern requires different fingerings, and sometimes it requires a little bit more of a different technique. Like for me personally, 3-note per string comes alive when I think in terms of legato. I do pick the notes as well, and I'm very much, in my early days, my guitar teacher at music college told me all about the Frank Gambale method of picking, which is fascinating in and of itself, and but it is particular to a 3-note per string sort of idea. Okay, so that's the way we're thinking about that there. So really, it's just different textures. What is it you're trying to say? Yeah, and it's like the more colours you have on your palette, then the more expressive you can be. So really, for me, I don't see the caged as being better than 3-note per string. I don't see or vice versa, or whatever. It's whatever works, and whatever helps you to sound like you. That's the only thing that's the main quest. Yeah, that's the main quest here, guys. Okay, so Phil says. Read somewhere, where we're going, put that there. Read somewhere that cage should only be associated with chords and arpeggios. Scales and modes should be approached differently. I disagree, because the thing is, it's kind of like, the way I kind of think about it is, do you remember those in the 1970s? Dating myself here. In the 1970s, there was those nail art things, the boards. It was like, you get a board and it'd be like someone would tap a load of nails in it, yeah, and they get some string, and then they'd make a pattern, or they'd make a picture of something with it, yeah. The thing is, that pin, those pins in that board, yeah, they don't change. The pattern that you put on the top, you got as much whatever you can do. And I think personally, I think that caged, you know, there's lots of different ways around it. You know, I think I'm pretty much one of the only few YouTube guitar teachers who talks about caged octaves. That's a subset of the caged experience, really. So really, you know, and the reason we want to use that is a navigation tool, a fretboard navigation tool, because what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to find notes quickly, yes, and see them quickly, you know, and this is why we need to know. I mean, you know, you hear some stuff as well saying, oh, you don't need to learn the names of the notes on your fretboard, and I just say, like, well, okay. Have you ever heard anybody learning piano say that? No, you don't. You don't do it by feel or whatever. Okay. So what I'm saying is everybody's entitled to their opinion. If they don't see that it's going to be chord scales or arpeggios, then it's fine. To be honest, actually, at the end of the day, when I look at the fretboard and I just think it's C major. It's C minor, and I just think, and I don't just see the chord. I see the chord, I see the scale, and I see the arpeggio at the same time. They are one and the same, which kind of brings me to this idea, guys, that when I talk about I've talked about the Master Triads. I've linked that in the description of this video, and I've also linked a live that I did some time ago. Called the Rosetta Stone, where basically everything is a synonym. We're all trying to find clever, interesting words to try and explain this thing. Yes, right? Because it's like, it's not as easy as piano's got black and white keys, and it's like it repeats, and it's like, and this is just like, there's nothing there. There's dots on it. Yeah, so that's the first place we come from. But look, so really, that's just what I'm saying here is that like everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I'd be happy to discuss it, but I'd rather be playing my guitar, to be honest, because I know what works for me. I know what works when I teach it. But the thing is, arpeggios. Let's talk about those arpeggios. Let's get rid of those arpeggio things. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. Bill, the thing is, Bill says, can arpeggios be looked at? Like adding accent to make a chord sound like a melody rather than a static block of sound or plain sense. It's up to you. Like I said, the key thing that I said was, a polyphony, a monophony. Yeah, right. So basically, I can take like a G triad here. Yeah, and what I can do is I can think to myself, okay, so say I had a 7th chord here like this, right? Because basically that's a triad. That's a major triad with a flat 7. Okay. Now what I did was I came from the 5th root and the 5th. What am I about? 5th, 3rd root there. Yeah, root 3rd, 5th. Yeah. I just played that on top of that. Because I'm thinking to myself, well, there it is as a triad. That's polyphony because you've got more than one note playing at the same time. So people might call that a chord, yeah? So you're going to call that a chord. Whereas if I played it like this, single notes, is that a scale? You know, you start to think to yourself, yeah, so we can look at it and we can think, well, which one is it? So really what you're saying, can arpeggios be looked at about adding an accent to make a chord sound like a melody rather than a static block of sound? I think that's what you're getting. So if it's a melody, then it's single notes. If it's harmony, then it's going to be a block of notes. Kind of the easiest way to look at it. But the thing to know about this is, so say this is being played here, this 7th chord, this G7. If I add this note, yeah, this is a 6th, then the rules come in for learning your chords. That 6th becomes a 13th. So what happens is that note sits on top of the polyphony, the harmony, and changes the name of the chord. Yes, and remember what I've been teaching you in past lessons is understanding everything to the full chord. If you understand this is what the circle of thirds does essentially, because you go root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, which bridges you into the compound octave, 9th, 11th, and 13th. So that's the full chord. That's where you get 7 notes. You think about it. How many notes do you have in the scale? You've got 7 notes. So it's using up all of the 7 notes. So you can't get any bigger chord. There's no bigger chords possible unless you add notes from outside the key, which can happen. Yeah, so the thing is, that's what we're kind of thinking in that there. So we've got to tie all that business in with that. Anyhow, back to the topic in hand. Let's switch over. Let's look at this. Let's bang that there. We're going to go boom on this. Oh, look, it's my friend, the interactive fretboard carousel. Yes, Shauna. This is why it's important to know your chord scale formulas. And you'll notice that arpeggio. Hang on, this is important. You'll notice that arpeggio formulas are the same as scale formulas. Sorry, as chord formulas. My bad. Yeah, let me say that again. Yeah, you'll know. Yeah, you'll know that chord formulas and arpeggio formulas are the same. They're the same formulas. Okay, scale formulas, they've got more ingredients. Okay, so just think. I always think about it. It's like, how many ingredients have you got? Yeah, pentatonic, you've got 5 ingredients. Diatonic, you've got 7 ingredients. Triads, 3 ingredients. 7th chords, 4 ingredients. But you don't have to include all of those. Okay, right. Okay, so good to have you here, DMAC. So let's switch back to this business here, because what I want to do is I'm just going to go through I'm just going to go through these master triads, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the master triads reveal the cage system, and how this master triads patterns is the missing link. So this is the missing link, okay? Okay, right, so what we're going to do, let's go with the red one here. So let's have a look. We'll put notes in there. So we've got a C. This is going to be a C major triad that we're looking at here. So there we can see we've got all the parts there. Now, if you're like me, you just like looking for the shapes, then you'll see that this is essentially a D shape. And that's odd, I think, to see that D shape lives behind there. It lives behind those open strings. You can't, there's no point in putting your fingers on them there, because they're open, so you don't need to, because the head nut is doing the job for you. So that's what we do, is we put that there, and then look, if I put the C chord on, you can see where these shapes start to intersect. And this is why I think this is so important, is because if we take this here and we'll look at that there, then we can see that is the full shape there for that C chord that we know and love. However, I feel there's that piece missing there, because what we want to do is we want to take it so we always have this rotating triangle of root, third, fifth, and that keeps on going around. So root, third, fifth, root, fifth, root, third, and this is just a pattern that happens. Let me just change that actually 2 degrees there, so you can see it goes. You can see that it's going to do that thing there. Let's put the highlighter on, and we're going to go like this, and we go fifth, root, third. As you can see, oh, actually, guys, hopefully you can see that the numbers are a bit bigger now, because I've done some fixing and some editing of the old fretboard here. So you can see there, that looks like an E shape there. And then what we can do is if we start on this root go to the third to the fifth there, you can see that we extend that again. Now if I come from the third to the fifth to the root there, then you can see I've got my first inversion going from the fifth to the root to the third there. We get the second inversion. So really, now I'll just select another color and I'll go over the top of that. So this is second inversion, okay? So from the first to the fifth to that root there, that's the second inversion, and then we would get a different one there if we did that there. Hang on, let me just do that again. There we go, like that. And do you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to show you the ghost strings, because this is the cool thing that I can do with this little thing that I designed. So if I go there, let's just allow dot there. Let's put that. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Root third. Oh, hang on. I don't think I can go far back enough on that one to get the fifth, but I could put the fifth there. Let's say, hang on, let me change that out for a proper color. Let's go there like that. But hopefully you can start to see, if I just join this up here, you can see how these inversions all link up to each other. But really what I'm concerning myself with is understanding that there are 3 master triad patterns here, yeah, but they're cycling through these fifth, root, third, fifth, third, fifth, root, yeah, and it just goes around in like draw it like a triangle, and that's the way that you're probably going to be easiest to see it. But let me just clear that there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get rid of that there, just because all I want to do is I want to show you that pattern there. Now the next one that I'm going to do is it's always easiest to see. This is the D shape here, and I always think, well, look, there's the root here. Let me just change the color of that one. We get the A shape there, and that's the fifth, root, and third, okay? So we've got that there. Now, what I can do is I can go here, and because I know what we've got, I'm going to get rid of the ghost strings there. All right, it's because I know there. What I can do is I can show you that there is, I could go, all right, look, there's my A shape. Yeah, there's my A shape. But I think that's a confusing way of showing this. But I want you to see the intersect between the A shape, which is here, yeah, and the G shape, which is, let me just show you the G shape. Let's put the G shape in there like that. Okay, so let me just undo that, because what I want you to see really is this pattern here, because what this does, this maintains that sequence of root, third, fifth, root, third, fifth. So you can see you've got two root position triads there if you wanted to, but you can also see where the inversions happen. Okay, so there we have that one. Now, obviously, because this is on the E string, this is why it's useful to know with the cage shapes that the C shape and the A shape, and I'll play those through here so you can see them. So this makes sense. So you've got a visual for this. The C shape, you can see I'm starting, the root note is on the A string. Yeah, if I play the A shape, the root note's on the A string. Okay, if I play the G shape, the root note of that chord is on the E string. If I play an E shape, the root note is on the E string. The D shape doesn't share with any of those other ones. It's Billy No Mates. It's very selfish and has the D string all to itself. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Right, so we could look at this as being the E shape here, and I want you to see the commonalities between these, where they buff it into each other. So you could see, look, there's the intersect really between the G shape and the E shape. So you can see how that's fitting into each other there. But I don't want that, because like I say, I want to maintain my pattern. So let me get rid of those there. And what I'm going to do is I just want this pattern across all 6 strings here. Okay, so I'm going third, fifth, root, third, fifth, root. So now you can see what we have is we have the 3 major patterns, guys. Those are the 3 major patterns. And interesting to note, if you look at each string, let's have a look. Let's separate this out, and let's just quickly look at the E and A strings in isolation. Let's look at that string pair there, guys. Yeah, we can see that on the E string it goes fifth, root, and third. You can see how they line up there. You can see the intervals between them. Actually, that third there, if I was to get another dot here and just bang one there, I could have it there if I wanted to, but I just left it off there really because I don't want to muddy this idea that there's more than one, there's more than 3 shapes. There aren't. There's only 3 shapes there, and on each string you'll see it goes root, third, fifth. You get an inversion on the D string. Let's switch over to the D and the G string there, so you can see we got third, fifth, root. On the G string we get fifth, root, third. And then if we go over to the B and the E string, we get root, third, fifth, and then third, fifth, root. So we get to spot these little patterns as they happen. I could even put that there. Can you see? I've just extended that up there. Interesting, I think, as well, is to be able to see, yeah, is to see the triad, the kind of thirds that we get in there. Okay, we get different types of thirds. If I select another color, let's just say we're going to go green for a major third distance. Look at that. There's a major third. Yeah, between that there. Am I right? Am I right or am I wrong there? No. I'm wrong. So step, half step. That's a fourth, Ricky. What am I on about? Yeah, but what I'm looking for, that's what I'm looking for. Between the root and the third there. That's what I'm looking for. Between the root and the third there. And the root and the third there. That's a major third. Okay, so I can see this is a major third there. Oh, right. Okay, and then in between the third and the fifth, yeah, we can see that we get that action going on there. Yeah. Minor, second, major, second, minor, third, major, third. Perfect fourth. Yeah, so it's a perfect fourth between the fifth and the root again, which is why power chords work the way they do. So, so what we could do is we could see those about how those intervals are going to pop up in the equation that we're looking at. But let me just get rid of those. Those are just something else that I think of because it makes sense when it comes to tapping. So I'll just highlight those again there, guys. So look, fifth, root, third. These are the 3 frameworks that you're looking at. Okay, go there, go there. We'll go up here, we'll go up here, we'll go up here, we'll go up here, we'll go up there. That's it. And that's the easiest way to kind of look at it. And it's up to you. You know, if you want to break these down, like I say, you can do it. Look, there's a string group. Okay, there's a string group there. So we could do them on the E, A, and D string. You can see you get one of each variety. You get a second inversion triad, you get a root position triad, and you get a first inversion triad. Let's switch over onto the A, D, and G string. You get the root, third, and fifth. You get the third, fifth, and root, which is first inversion, and we get the second inversion on the A, D, and G strings. There. Let's switch over to the next string set. We get the root, the third, and the fifth, which is first inversion. We get the second inversion, 5R3 there, which we know as the A shape. And then we get this root, third, fifth here on the D, G, and B string. And then lastly, what we get is on the G, B, and E string, we get the first, second inversion here, down here. Then in this pattern, we get the root position. So we get root, third, fifth, and then we get the first inversion, root, fifth, third. Now, I should say, yeah, triads, they can be one of those things that are just an absolute mess at seeing. But the thing is, these master triads, I think, are the key to it. But hopefully what you can see here is that we're not just applying these master triads to the by themselves. We're applying them. We're going to superimpose them on top of the cage system as well, and that's what I can do here. So let's just get rid of some of this here. Let's just switch back over here. So 3 shapes per string set. Top 2 string sets are the same. Yes, because they're tuned to fourths, Paul. As in, there's a good... Oh, that yellow doesn't... It's clashing up against that. Yeah, so Paul says 3 shapes per string set. Top 2 string sets shapes are the same. Yes, because they're tuned. Those strings are tuned to a fourth. They're tuned to fourths, yeah. And this is all about the tuning of the guitar, really. It's that annoying little wonk in the tuning that we get between G and B. But I love that because it makes the chord shapes interesting and actually some of them a lot easier to hold. So let's say, so there are 12 C chords in those. Randy says something interesting. So there are 12 C chords. You could call them C chords. Yeah. Let me just say that. Put that up there. So there are 12 C chords in those 3 shapes. In those triad string sets. Yeah, you could think of it in that way. Or more actually, if you include open strings. I've only just included those 3 master triad patterns. Yeah, if you wanted to look at it in a different way, you could do, because you can spread these triads. You can mess around with them, which is how we get to this idea of how we play the chords. And like I remember, just to recap, like I said before, if we take the C major chord, and I just show you here, this is, when I'm playing this, I'm thinking it's root position because I'm starting on the root here. Yeah, I could start on the 5th. Yeah, and I'm playing that is essentially that first master triad pattern. Yeah, bit hard to play if I move it somewhere else because I need those notes that are under there, and all my fingers are claimed for. Yeah, so I can't do anything extra with that because I don't have enough fingers. Unless, can I do something? Have I ever done something like that? Where no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, so where I can use a pinky to hold down 2 notes. We're not going to do that. My fingers aren't like that. They're too stumpy. So, but the thing is there, yeah, that note becomes the intersect for the A shape, yeah? Remember we had that A shape? And then what I like to do is the G shape, because it's such an unwieldy beast, what I like to do is instead of playing it like that, what I do is I play it in first inversion. So really I'm just coming from 3rd. Now let me just put this on here actually. And then what I'll do is I'll pick out these notes. I shall pick out these notes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change colour. Oh, boom, 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 there. I'll get my highlighter again. Let me just highlight that pattern. So that is really the portion of that shape that I'm seeing. Yeah? Yeah? Now that, although these three master triads are beautiful as this, the shapes aren't easy to play on guitar. Yeah? Which is why we have to modify them and move things around a little bit. And just heading back to this idea here, we had the C chord. Yeah, we had the A-shaped C chord. We had this G shape. We've got the bar chord E shape here. And then what I like to do is just, I like to play this inversion here. So we've got the root, we've got the fifth, and we've got the third there. Yeah, so this is a first inversion. And we could even, can we see that there? So what I'm really doing with that shape is I'm playing these blue notes here. Can you see this? Let me get rid of that. And then I'm going to reinstate the red one back there. And then, so, but I'm just going to show you that that's the part of the pattern that I'm playing there, okay? But really, you should be able to just see where it comes from. That fifth there, it belongs to the D shape here, okay? If I actually, let me just add another fret, a 2 up here, and let me have some, let's do these as blue as well. So we'll go like this and this, so you can see that what ends up happening is there, that hooks back up into the D shape. You can see the D shape hooks up into it there, so that would be my now what we could do, like I say, is we can play scales from those as well. So if I'm thinking that, I know that's the root. Okay, so we had the scale there as well. But, and I will say, the D is kind of a special case when it comes to playing these as arpeggios. Let me just undo that. Let me get rid of that there. Let me just pull that go down. So we can see how that fits in there, guys. Okay. So Bill also says, let me just see what Bill's on about here. Let's have a look, see if there's something here. If you play an augmented chord and you play it in order, is it still considered? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, and you know, that's a nice look. The beautiful thing about the augmented arpeggio is that it's really easy to see, and so are diminished arpeggios. So that's a different kettle of fish as well. So we're not going to get into that. We're staying diatonic for now, okay? Bill T, yes, you can arpeggio any chord. If it's a chord, yes, you can turn it into an arpeggio. Because all you're doing is you're basically taking the ingredients of the chord and you're laying them out more like a scale, essentially. Okay? So, those are the major master triads. Okay? Let's have a look. Where are we at here with this? It makes sense to go over these. Now, the practicalities of playing these are another matter. Now, if it comes down to playing, let me just get rid of, I'm going to get rid of these here. When it comes down to playing just the C shape. Now, obviously, these open notes here are doing me a favour. They are doing me a favour. And basically, what's happening is that, let me just reset that there. If I wanted to play, I'm going to play this as a D major arpeggio here. So let's change that there. Let's move that. Boom. So let's put the scale degrees in there. We could have the notes there if you want to check as well. But we'll put the scale degrees in. I'm going to bang that there. And I'm just going to highlight this. I'll do it with this highlight colour. Just swap the colours around, keep it interesting. And then what we can see is that this is essentially a D major arpeggio. Now, coming across from this fifth to this root, when we get these strings that run parallel with each other, what we've got to do, we've got to add this idea of rolling between notes. But what we could do is, there's easier ways of playing these patterns. And what we could do is we can skinny them down. So instead of having the fifth there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck it over there instead. Yeah, and then this becomes the foundation of what I would consider to be a C major arpeggio using the C shape. And what we can do is we can see how that fits in there. It's a C shaped arpeggio, but this happens to be in D, because if I just change it to the notes there, yeah, so there you can see. Can I diagram the C shapes on the 3 bright strings to show spacing? The C shapes on the 3 bright strings to show the spacing. Yeah, is that what we're looking at there with that? I think that's what you mean there, is it? That one there. I think that's what you mean there, Paul. Those are the 3 inversions: A, D, F, D, F, A. But you can see there's the 3 inversions. Looking at them there, but really, what we want is the beauty of arpeggios. The beauty of arpeggios is that it enables us to move from high pitched strings to lower pitched strings fairly quickly. Yeah, if you think about it, if I did a scale, yeah, so if I wanted to go from there to there, then what I can do is I can use an arpeggio to get there quicker. And it's not about so much about it saving time, it's just about moving around a bit quicker. Yeah, so going back to this C shape here, yeah, so this is here in this position, yeah, okay, so that is a D, F and an A, and you know, this is a completely transposable pattern. Okay, so I can move this up, ignore the intervals. Let me just put that as that there. So look, I can show you that this pattern just moves up there, and the root note that you select, that would be moving up with it as well. So it's a completely transposable pattern. So this shape happens to work. I think it's a little bit better in higher positions for me. It feels a lot better as a higher positioned arpeggio. But like, say I was here at the 7th fret, this would be an E major, which means that if I turn the notes on, you're going to see that it says E, G sharp and B. So there we go. So we've got that there, so you can see where those are there, and we've got E, G sharp, B. So essentially I've got the chord, the polyphony there, and I'm playing it like a scale because it's now. I could add that 5th in there, but personally, I don't really bother. I don't know what was going for there, but I was thinking that there, but. So what we could do is, the idea is to mix it up and move between a scale and an arpeggio, really. Now, and you can we can take it like this. Now here is a super useful one, and what we're going to do is we're just going to utilize the G, B and E string sets. Now this is a wonderful one because I don't want to get into the technique aspect too much, because I don't want you to be lost on the technique aspect, really. That's the thing I guess I'm saying. Let me just scoot this over a little bit this way, just so in case you can see. No, you can't see that. Right. So what I've got is I've got the 5th, root, 3rd, 5th. Now that's easy to see because there's the D shape. The shape is showing the way. Now I'm adding another note there. So that's the 5th, there's the 6th, there's the root, there's the 5th. Oh, sorry, that's the 5th root. Yeah, 6th, 3rd. Yeah, so I can add that in there. Okay, I'll show you what that looks like. So that would be that there. Just adding that extra note in there. Yeah, and what's good about that is it enables me to play groups of 4 a lot easier just by adding that extra note in there. But really for now, what we're doing is we're looking at these. But there's the full shape, and so you can see where it comes from. And there is definitely a shift in your mind when you see this and you go, D. It's a D shape all day long. Until you go down there and you see you've crossed over from it being a D shape into being a C shape. I'll go close up on that one there. Yeah, so D shape. As soon as you do that, there especially, C shape. Okay, now this. Okay, so you can see that this one. Yes, there's the D shape. Right, so this out of these shapes here, I think that this is probably one of the easiest to really kind of get under your fingers. Phil says, isn't using the chord system as a means of labouring the scale pattern is only taking the one chord into consideration? No, because the thing is, this is going to be one of those things. Actually, I'm probably best just demonstrating it there, Phil. Yeah, so Phil says, isn't using the chord system as a means of labelling the scale pattern is only the one chord of the key into consideration? Kind of a bit, I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, but with you saying that it's the one chord, look, here's the way we can use this. I think this is a great little exercise as well, and it's good for your hand to eye coordination, get your targeting going. Okay, if we're in the key of D major, yeah, we've got D, E minor, F sharp minor, and then we get G, and then we get A. Chords 1, 4, and 5, yeah, we get D, so we got D, yeah, and then we get G, and then we get A. And I'm just moving them up there. You could track on the B string and think to yourself, root 3rd, so 5R3, sorry. There's the root, which is a D. There's a G there. And then this is an A here. So what you could do is... Yeah, so you see what I'm doing is I'm playing the same pattern, yeah, but it's not. I'm not thinking of it as chord 1. I'm thinking chord 1, 4, 5, 1 again here. So hopefully that makes sense there. 5, 1, 4, 7, 3, 6. Yeah, David put something there as well. Natural intervals. That's the magic phone number. Remember the magic phone number? Remember me telling you about that? I think that's in the Rosetta Stone video as well. Yeah, 6251473, whichever way you want to look at it. You can start on whatever number you want to come to. It's just that 6-2-5-1 is the most common chord progression. That's why I thought it was useful to remember it in that way. 5-1-4. I mean, let me just show you something here with that on a tangent there, David. Because the thing is, I think it's fascinating that the open strings, if you think about it, in the way that the strings are tuned, yeah, E, A, D. Those are your 3 minor chords. Yeah, chord 3. Yeah, chord 6. Chord 2. 3-6-2. Yeah, 3-6-2. Part of the magic number. Right, okay. So, and then we get to the G, which is it's going to be chord 5. Then we get 1. And then we get chord 4, which is going to be this F here, which I'd have to play there like that. So, essentially, you get going across in fourths like that. Then that would maintain the phone number, which is why Battle Ends and Down Goes Charles's Father is so important, because what we're doing is we're using that to remember letter names. Before you understand, it's getting familiar with the patterns before you get to the point where you can say to yourself, oh, this relates to notes in scales. It relates to chords in the key. And that's what the Rosetta Stone video is all about. Link in the description, guys. You need to check it out. So, hopefully that makes sense. So your 5 root 4 7 3 6. It's missing 1 number off that there. Yeah, because we've got to think about it. So it's 5 1 4 7 3 5 1 4 7 is chord 7 3 6 2. You need a 2 at the end of that. Yeah, so just remember that. That's the way to remember it. You could do it that way, but you can see it on your open strings there. Anyhow, I digress. That's a whole different topic. That's a whole different topic. Now, hopefully you can see that's what's going on there, guys. Now, so we've got the C shape. Let me just bang the C shape. Hang on, let me change the color. I don't like the color. We're going to do C shape there, but I'm not going to do that portion because the next shape we're going to look at is the A shape here. Okay, now we can put the 5th in there as well. Let me put the degrees in there. So what we've got there's only 6 strings, but you still need to remember the whole pattern there, Paul, because the thing is, it doesn't matter where you come in. Yeah, it's like the way that the guitar. You've got me on a tangent here. There's only 6 strings. Okay, I get it. Yeah, right. But the thing is, the way the guitar is set up, essentially, if we just stick to the perfect fourth tunings, and yeah, basically the wonk in the tuning between a G and a B string shifts everything, and essentially it resets the fretboard. Okay, it resets the fretboard and it pulls everything up 1 fret. That's the compensation that has to happen. So essentially, for me, the fretboard goes B, E, A, D, G. So it's a 5-string instrument. Yeah. Now I know that it's like you can see 6 strings, and I'm saying it's 5. Yeah. And I know that sounds bonkers. Yeah, but maybe I can demonstrate it with the fretboard carousel. Let me just show you, because this is why I built in the ghost strings idea as well. Okay, so let me do this in I'm going to do it in C major. Let's have a look. We're going to go here, look, so I can show you this in chords as well. So if I go, actually, hang on, Ricky, hang on, back to notes. Let's go to notes, and we'll go here, B, E, A, D, G. Okay, so you see there, Battle Ends and Down Goes Charles's Father. If I go to this what would be the 7th string on a 7-string guitar, we would get that shift there. In between the F and the B, we always have to compensate and go up 1 fret. Okay, so look, and then between the C, B, C, and the F there as well. So let's have a look. Yeah, that's fine, because what we've done is we're still maintaining those perfect fourths going across here, apart from the F to the B, which is an anomaly, because what happens is there between an F and a B, if you look, we get a sharp 4, and that would make sense because Yes, that's telling you that it belongs to chord 4, which is Lydian, which has got a sharp 4. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So look, Charles's father, battle ends and down goes Charles's father, battle. Yeah, so you can see that this, if the strings were going along like that, we'd just get that continuous sequence like that. But here is the thing. Here's the thing, guys. Yeah. Here's the thing. If I change that to chords, yeah, the magic number appears. So that's 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7. It's always repeating. It just keeps on repeating itself through there. Change back to the notes. This is, if we learn it as notes first. Oh, hang on, we're running out a little bit of space there. There we go. That's better. Okay, so we've got that there. Yeah. We can see how that goes along. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's the way that's the way I see it. But really, yeah, that's just repeating. We know we've got 7 chords, but the guitar, for the guitar to fit into it, we've got to think of it as being a 5-string instrument, really. So I hope that hasn't confused you or anything else like that. But you can see how that works there, and that's what we're always looking at with that magic number, like I say. So, and Phil says, so when used correctly, the key system allows you to pay attention to all of the chords in the chord progression. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, okay. So we've got all this going on. Right, hang on. Let's get back to the lesson. You guys putting me off. Right, okay. So let's have a look. Tangent, but you can't beat a tangent every now and then. Let's switch to D here. We're going to go there. So we've got that D, and that's what we had before. So this is going to be the D shape here. Rocket, you need to watch the Rosetta Stone video where I talk about synonyms. So we've got that C shape there. We're all agreed that that's the C shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dots on there. That's going to give me my E shape. Now, if you remember, I played the A into that intersection there, right? Which is an interesting way of looking at it. But we don't want that, we don't want that, we don't want that, and we don't want that, because what we're doing is we're looking at the A shape now on its own, in its own right. Okay, I'm going to put the scale degrees in here. So we've got the root, the third, the fifth, the root, the third, the fifth, and then what happens is we get the root here as well. Now we can play in this manner. This is the way, this is the path we would take to get through this. Paul, there is no, the Rosetta Stone was done like a year after the book was published. So unfortunately, no. But it's available on the channel. You'll be able to look in the live. Just look up Rosetta, type it into the search. Right, so this one, right? Now, this is a bit of a stretchy one. So if you've got stumpy sausages like me, you might struggle with this one. So here's what we had before. We had the C shape. Okay. Now, do you see what happens? We're going to do this stretch of a major third here. And then when it comes to the A shape, we roll across the A shape. Grab the fifth here and then get up to the root here. Now, I struggle with that personally. So I do a little jump to that. Also, I'm not particularly fond of this stretch here. So what I like to do is I like to substitute the position for that third there. And what I like to do is I like to put it here instead. Okay. So let's have a look. So what we get is we get a little triad there. Look, which is beautiful, because what you can do is you can break these down. Now, what you can also do is we can tap into the G shape if we wanted to finish this off. Oh, we don't have to stay there, and this is another good way to do that. Oh, come on, Ricky, done that wrong. Can I undo that? Yeah, I can undo that. Okay. And then what we could do is we can create this idea here. And this is a little bit more interesting, I think. So what I can do now is I can take those notes, root, third, fifth. I slide up to that fifth instead. Do a roll with the index finger, which is easier. Which is like a rubber stamp movement. So you think about it, you're in, this is a D major, yeah, so, oh, sorry. So I know, oh, let's put the House of Blues there. I was just thinking of, what can I put on the end of there? I'm going to put the House of Blues on the end of this arpeggio. So the idea is I'm using the House of Blues as my target idea, but I'm using the arpeggio to get me there. So I might change how I phrase that. And the cool thing is, because I know my House of Blues is here, elevator triangle here. I can find my box 1 minor. So those notes go like that. Okay, and I think that's a useful way of seeing it. But if you've got big massive hands, if you've got huge hands, then what I'd say is that should be your route. Okay, that's a good route for you to go. So much info your brain can't absorb it. Don't worry about absorbing it all in one go. You've got to come back to this. You know, this is the way it works with my lessons. Yeah, so if I was doing that, then I'd go. I'm not fond of that pattern, but I will use part of it, you know. It's nicer when you start adding sevenths, because then it makes things a little bit easier. It looks like you're being clever, but you're actually. I'll just draw that one in again there. So these maps, these arpeggios are mapped out. Yeah. And this is the thing, guys. This is the beautiful thing about this. Yeah. So just back to what somebody said about chord 1. Phil James said about chord 1. Let's just clear the highlights on this. So what I want to do is I just want to show you how this works, because I know this what goes on with this business here with the triad. I can see the triads. I can see my 5R3 shape there. I think to myself, the 7 lives there, 7 lives there, and the 7 lives there. So what I can do is I can plot out a cool little route to get there now. And this is the thing, these major and minors become the foundations for all of your 6 main chords in your major key. Chord 1, 4, 5, your majors, chords 2, 3, and 6, your minors. So on this one, if I take this one, yeah, so you can see there straight away, yeah, and I've got that. You see that? Now the thing is, what I can do is, because that's I could even add that one. No, I won't add that one. So you can see there, root, 7, We've got the 5th, 3rd, root, 7th, 5th, 3rd, root. Yeah. Now I think there's easier ways to play through these, and this is where the shapes, when the shapes start to intersect with each other, we can do lots of interesting, cool things with that. But this is just kind of like a preview of like how you can take those and just add extra colour to them. But yeah, the A shape, yeah, it's okay, it's all right. Now the next shape that we're going to look at is the G shape, isn't it? Yeah, because we think about it, we've done C, we've done A, we're going to do the G shape now. And this one, this isn't real. I don't think this is finger friendly either, but that's the way I would picture playing that one there, which would be here. So we've got the root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, root. Which is nice. If I want to outline a chord though, then I could do. This is C major. Now, landed on that 5th, and I know that I'm in my box 1 now. Yeah, so I can play that there. It's important to just have a try with your fingers. So depending on your hands, well, they're unique to you. You might find it easy to start on your pinky. You might find it easy to start on your ring finger. Yeah. Sometimes I find it easier to start on my ring finger. And obviously, the wider it is down here, the harder these are going to be. Yeah. So, but you can't be, practicing these guys with a metronome. Let's carry on going up the neck here. I'm just going to move this starting fret up to the 6th fret. Let's go there. Okay. With the drone backgrounds. Yes, you could do it with the drone. You just play the drone and then you can practice all the arpeggios over the top. Let's go here. So this is the G shape. The next shape we're going to have is the E shape. Now this one, yeah, I like this one. We're going to keep, let me get rid of that there. Hang on, let me put that root note back in. I'll keep that there. Now, what we've got is we've got a choice. We've got a choice with this. Just like we get with the A shape, we can have the 3rd here, or we can have the 3rd here. Yeah, it depends on your preference for the stretch that you like with this one. But if I draw this in here, this is the order that you were going to put these in. So this would be at the 10th fret. Why is it at the 10th fret? It should be. Why is that at the 10th fret? Oh, because it's D major. That's why. Right. So when it comes to the 5th and the root, you can see here that these two here. Right, these in between these, let me just colour them a different colour. Those are going to have to be rolled. So are these two, because they're parallel to each other on the frets, aren't they? You can see that they're paralleled. Okay. Hey up, Susan. Ricky, the 3-2 pattern is there, right there too. There's lots of patterns. They all blend into each other, and it's just seeing where they all live. Okay, so you can do that. Now, the thing is, personally, I like I say, this one here, I do like to play that. There is a way of doing this where what we can do is we can get the root, the 3rd, 5th root, 3rd there, but it feels awkward to shift on that one, so we'd have to land on the 1st there for the root, 3rd is with the pinky, and then this 5th I have to get my 3rd finger on it, because the 2nd finger, if I use the 2nd finger, by the time I get to put that 1st finger on the 3rd on the G string, I've got to jump over like that, which is awkward, which is not what we want. So really I have to move between the pinky and the 3rd to get that 5th and 3rd, 5th and root roll there on that blue. way to play this. And this is how you get creative with this stuff, guys. What I can do is I can take that fifth, and because I know that a minor third above that there, what have I got? Can I get rid of that? Oh, cracky, what have I done? So what I can do is I can put that there instead. I'm going to get rid of that fifth. Look at this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a string skip and go across instead. Miss out the B string. This is a fun way to play it. Yeah, so we go root, fifth. Now I can keep that second finger on there. Third is used by my first finger. Then I'm going to put my pinky on that 14th fret. I'm on the wrong fret here, but the pattern is the same. And this bit, third, fifth, root, third, fifth. Yeah, so there's the chord, okay? Because I'm thinking of it as being an E shape, although it is starting to border into the D shape as well there. But these string skips are quite interesting, very new. Okay, so and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep on moving up this here. I did this in the wrong key there. Let me just get this and transpose it down. So there it is in C. Okay, so now the thing is, I find this a little bit tricky as well. Stumpy sausages. If I go, but however, if I do this, I join back up into the D shape here, then what you get is you get a nice use of the shapes here. This goes like this now, so I'm going to go from the E shape, yeah, and then I like to slide from this third up to the fifth. And that's a super useful pattern. Play that in any position. So here's A, there's my root. This is going to be an A major arpeggio. You can see that there. In G, wider stretch. Yeah, which pulls me back onto the A string here, alright, which means it's going to be either a C shape or an A shape. And I could say to myself, so you can see now I can actually put those together. So this is a G major arpeggio. Yeah. So you can see how they all fit into that. Cage, Greg says, looks like those 5 fret stretches are from 3 note per string patterns. A cage maxed out at 4 frets. Well, I mean, the thing is, there is the other thing as well with, if you might have seen it before actually, Greg, is like if you get two box patterns so say you've got one box pattern here, so you've got your box 1 here, and then your box 2 next to it. Yeah, that's a good visualization thing. But essentially, what you'd end up doing is end up creating a 3 note per string pentatonic pattern idea. So these things inevitably carry over into each other, really. So yeah, you could say they look like stretches from 3 note per string, but you could also see them as being those Legoed pentatonic boxes that bump into each other, so it's interesting, but it is interesting to see. But when I'm thinking this here, this shape here, and I've got it at the 8th fret here because it's C major. I'm just move my guitar along there. Yeah, C E G C E G C E G. So I could play it with the string skip. Into that D shape. into the full, that's the D shape, into the C shape. Okay. Okay, so that takes us all the way into that, and then obviously, like I said, we are back into our original C shape there. So it's really up to you how you want it to do it. Hang on, let me just put that, I'm going to turn that to red. I'll put that string skip option in there, and then you can see what's going on there. The awkward bit is managing these parallel fourth notes, or if it's across these two strings, across the G and the B, then those major third ones as well. So what we've got is all that going on there. So those are your basic ones. Now, but the thing is, there's nothing to stop you. There's nothing to stop you from taking those basic shapes, yeah, and making your own patterns with them as well. I will heartily recommend that. Is you think, as long as you know where everything is, you start to think, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do with this? I could go fifth root, third, fifth root, third, fifth. So let me get rid of that one there. That might be one that you want to adopt. Personally, I'd stay away from that one. But there are others that you can tap into. Some are going to be easier than others. I'd say on this one as well, that root note there. If I take this here, oh, wrong one, root, and go third here. This is a possibility. Oh, hang on, Ricky, what are you doing? That. Yeah, do that there. Get the highlighter, change the color, put there. So you could, you know, that's what I kind of think of as being the D shape. Yeah, because you can see that we've got essentially going. We've got that there. So we can practice that one, and it'll take us over 4 strings. Yeah, so, and then I'm just thinking there, can I get something else in there? I could do a string skip in the bottom end there, but I don't want to, because it sounds horrible. So we've got that one there, right? Okay, so now the thing is I'll just reset all this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the minor, okay? Because we've got those minors there. Should I do that first? In the PDF, I've done string pair triads. So basically, because of the way that all this works out, whenever we get a string pair, we can have a triad in there. Hang on, I'm going to show you. It just makes sense to just show you now. And we'll do this as like this. Let me just move over here. Okay, so this is essentially the pattern that we've got going across here. All right, now we're just thinking about this because of the way the guitar is tuned. Yes, with those perfect fourths. What we're going to have here is we're going to have a root, a third, and a fifth. Okay. In fact, let me just we'll change the color of that. I'm going to change the color of that. So root, third, fifth. That's what we're looking at there. That's what we're going to look at. So root, third, fifth. That's how we play it. And now the thing is, as I move across the strings, I get exactly the same pattern. Look, root, third, fifth. Root, third, fifth. It goes wonky here, but look, can you see how we compensate? Root, third, fifth, and then we compensate again. It goes root, third, fifth. Okay, let me show you. Let's get the ghost strings on, and then we're going to go. You can see where the root goes. And if we wanted to think about it, going all the way across there. So red for root, green for third, blue for fifth. Okay, So you can see there, if I get rid of that ghost notes, then you start to see where patterns start to come up there. Yeah. I think it's a pretty cool little thing. This is why I wanted to have this carousel feature there. But look at that. Look how it changes root, third, fifth. And you can see that's from the A shape. If I wanted to, I can see that's, look, I can flesh the rest of that out there. Boom. Yeah, and I can see that A shape forming itself in front of my very peepers, in front of my eyes there. There's the main triad. And actually, so what, so Paul B says, and this is a good question, what is the end use case of these arpeggios to play over the corresponding chords? It's a textural thing, really, more than anything else. If you think about it, pentatonics, okay? Pentatonics, when we play pentatonic scales, we've essentially got interval gaps between notes of major seconds and minor thirds, right? Okay, if we're playing them in sequence, that is. If we play the triads, what we end up with is we end up with thirds, we end up with major thirds, minor thirds, and we end up with the perfect fourth going from the fifth to the root note, which is a different sort of sound completely. Remember, intervals they have a personality. Each interval has its own feeling, its own mood, if you will. And then this is why scales are so interesting, is because once you have lots of these different intervals in there, it really solidifies the personality and sound of a scale. Now, but the thing about scales is the diatonic scales that we use, is they are built up of steps and half steps. So those half steps are going to clash because they're a semitone apart, because they rub against each other, do half steps. Yeah, half steps, semitones, minor seconds, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, so they rub against each other. Major seconds slightly open, unless you play them as a harmonic interval, not a melodic interval. Then you get rub again. So the thing is, you need to listen out for those things. So this really, for me, what it does is it provides a different texture, yeah, a different personality that you can add to the sound. But it also means that you kind of have guardrails to guide you through this process of, right, okay, you know what the chord is, right? Okay, you've got this little arpeggio that you could put on it, but the thing is, it's great for moving, like I say, from moving from one idea to another idea. So let's have a look. So say, for instance, say we're in there in G. Okay, we're in there in G. We know that's the E shape. Yeah, the D shape's going to be here. Okay, but this, I'm going to make it interesting. I'm going to turn this into a seventh chord and this into a seventh chord. Well, all I did was take the 5R3, take the root, take it down to a flat 7 to get that sound there, right? Now what I can do, I can use it, and I can think to myself, okay, there's the original arpeggio. Okay, so then I can just add onto that there. I can see my 3 note per string as well. Yeah. Oh, where am I? There, right, okay. Yep, so I can do all that stuff, but it's a different texture. So you hear a scale here, and if I'm in that, yeah, that's going to sound completely different than going. It becomes brighter, more open. Okay, isn't this strolling into the direction of chord tone soloing? Yes, it is. Indeed, it is indeed. What do you think chord tone soloing is? What are you chasing? You're chasing chord tones. Yes. So Paul says, so fitting sevenths would fit as well. Hang on, let me just make sure that that's really drilled in. Sevenths, not just sevenths. This is why I explain the full chord, because the thing is, the full chord is basically triad, seventh. Once you understand the function of the seventh and how it bridges into the upper extensions in the compound octave, ninths, 11ths and 13ths, then you can start to add those, and then you can think to yourself, and you can build arpeggios on the fly. But you need your major and your minors there as your structures to help you to be able to find your North Star, your location. And then what you do is you use those North Stars then. I think I did that in the chord connection video that's on the channel. So the thing is, so it can be any interval you want. It's and that comes down to what is it you want to say. And then that comes down to the people that have inspired you. And then you can think to yourself, oh, I like Robin Ford. I like Larry Carlton. I like Schofield. I like all these different sounds. I like Gary Moore. What does he play? Oh, he plays Aeolian. Oh, why does he play Aeolian? Oh, that must mean, he plays minor arpeggios as well then. So then you can mix it all up, and then you understand where it's all coming in. Interval-wise, yes, intervals. The thing is, it's important to get the distinction between these as well. Intervals are for chords and arpeggios, whereas scales are scale degrees. They're kind of interchangeable in the way that we think about that. They are synonyms yet again for each other, but really, any chord can be like Pokemon, really, if you want. It's a terrible analogy. Yeah, they evolve. Your triad evolves to a seventh. It evolves then to a ninth, and then to 11th and a 13th. And I'm not going to say that all 13th chords sound great, because by the time you get up to the 13th, yes, if you think about it, think about this. Yeah, in the major scale, yeah, between the third and the fourth, you have a half step, which is going to clash. And between the seventh and the root note, you get a half step, which is going to clash. When you redistribute those half steps don't disappear. So essentially, you are going to have two notes that clash. And generally, it depends if there's some sort of tritone going on in there as well. You might end up getting with 3 clashes within full expressions of chords, so you have to get rid of notes. Hopefully that makes sense. So interval-wise, you've got to be canny, and you've got to think to yourself, right, okay, what can I do here? What are the signature intervals that the person I am modeling my playing on, who I want to sound like, and don't just sound like one person. So if you wanted to sound like Yngwie, you've got to learn harmonic minor, and you've got to learn diminished arpeggios. Simple. Yeah, it's very easy to pinpoint that because it's a very, very specific sound. Whereas if you wanted to learn somebody like Robin Ford, then obviously you have to go down this whole road of understanding how to use the dominant and altered dominance and all this sort of stuff. Okay, so yeah, it is definitely kind of a thing, but I always kind of come from this maximal perspective of, if you know the ultimate evolution of a chord, then what you do is it's kind of like you chip away, like Michelangelo with that block of marble. Was it Vincent? No, who is it that did Michelangelo, the marble statue? Leonardo. Was it Leonardo da Vinci? I can't remember if it was. It might not be. Anyhow, but the thing is, yeah, you chip away at that marble until you reveal the form that you want. But you've got to know how to deal with that big monolith in the first place. And then what's this on? Paul says, chords are part of scales based upon intervals within the scales. Chords are parts of scales. Yeah, you can say. But then the thing is, it's like, okay, but it's like, if you think of a key, and if you think of the parent scale of a key, there's 7 ingredients. And those 7 ingredients, we can do lots of different things. I could say to you, it would be right palatable. We've got 7 ingredients. Leonardo DiCaprio. That's the one, Sean. It is. It's Leonardo DiCaprio who did the statue of Michelangelo. What we could do is we just think of them as ingredients, and it's up to us what we do with them. Yeah. Chords as part of scales based upon intervals within the scales. Yeah, you can think of it in that way. But ultimately, at the end of the day, don't think that. I don't think but personally, I don't think in terms of the chord scale or arpeggio, because they all blur and it becomes one thing. It basically comes down to this decision: do I want monophony or do I want polyphony? Yeah, polyphony. Yeah, right. Do I want chunks of note, chunks of notes all together, or do I want single notes? Because the thing is, that's the thing. If you think about it, when you hear chords dissipate. They fill up a space, whereas notes, they stick out. They stand out in the kind of, if you imagine it as a landscape of sound that you're hearing, yeah. The chords are kind of like the background, and the notes are the buildings or the trees in the landscape. They're forming the picture in front of you, and that's why we want to produce good melodies, if that makes sense. So. Chords are parts of scales based upon intervals within the scales. Yeah. But remember, it's like you've got to make sure that you're targeting the sounds that you want to target, so that you can sound like yourself after you've absorbed the work of all the artists that you like. Yeah. So Michelangelo's David, that's the one. Yeah, hang on, just to get that right, because hang on, Michelangelo, wasn't he one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Well, are we getting cross wires here? Are you sure that's right there, Sean? So I know you're right there. I'm only jesting. Right. So the thing is, yeah, it's a very interesting way of looking at it. But the thing is, the whole idea is that the cage system ends up getting you all the way across there. But if you tie it in with these triads, then you're on a winner. Let's just go back to the diagram here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reset this, and I'm going to reset this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the minor on here. I'm going to go for A minor. We're going to go A minor, because we're just going to keep it nice and simple. So we're gonna put on. Ooh, hang on, we're minor. So let's go blue notes. So we've got the A minor there. Now that's your basic A minor that you know and love. That's the shape there. But what we're looking at here is really, we're looking for that Master Triad pattern, the way that's going to live there. So let's plot this one out. Red and green should never be seen. So let's not do that one together. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Let's put that there. Put that there. Randy says, Ricky, I greatly appreciate your lessons, how you explain how music works on the guitar, showing what all works together in the big picture. I'm going to change the text from yellow there. And Paul says he's seen it in the Louvre. Yeah. Well, there you go. So look, there's A minor. Let's put the notes in. Once we put the notes in, we can see that we've got that inversion thing going on again. It's just that the third is now flattened. Okay, so obviously because one of the notes has moved, then the patterns are going to be changed ever so slightly. So now we end up with I'll change some colours. So we end up with the minor triad, you can see there, and let me just go over this. Oh, I'm going to have a little purple on this. We'll go on that one. So we go there. There's your first inversion. There on that one there. Now if we go second inversion, let's go orange. I'm going to go there, so you can see how that bridges there, and then we go back to the bog standard first root position there. Okay. So we've got that going on there, but really what I want to do is I just want to have one pattern for all of that, really. And I'm going to go yellow. Good old trusty yellow. We like that colour. So there is the first pattern. for that A minor. Now the thing is, look, A minor notes are going to be A, C, E, A, C, E. You can see there's two. If you look at the E, A, and D string, let me just plot that there. You can see there we've got the root position on the E, A, and D string there. All right, let me just shift over to the G, B, and E string. Let me take that off, and you can see we've got the root position there as well. So you know, it's useful to be able to see how these guys split. And let me just, I'm going to take that off a minute because I'm probably going to come back to that. But here, let's go back to the blue here. We're going to go C. What am I doing? C, C, E. Now this is, so this is the A shape, and this is where the whole G shape thing gets a little bit funky. Yeah, look at this. All right, this is oh, hang on, wrong color. This is the G shape like that. Yeah, it's horrible. Okay, that's the G minor shape just there. That's the way I'd see that. And I do actually sometimes if I'm playing in the key of F, that's chord 1. Chord 2 is G minor. But instead of playing it as a bar chord, then what you can do is you can just use this shape here. That third ends up going there. Let me just show you the intervals there. Yeah. And I get the minor chord there. Yeah, so which is a nice way of seeing it. So we can move around there. You get, that's how I picture an open version of a G minor shape. But is it useful? Don't know really. I wouldn't kind of see it in that manner. I'm more of a fan of a different pattern that I'll show you in a minute. Let me just reset these highlights here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that A into that one. And now what happens is, this is probably the most useful one, because if I just, hang on, let me just do this. Can you see what's in there? Yeah, that's box 1. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this. Boom, boom, boom. Now if I want to, I can have a third here. Plonk that in there. Okay, we've got that. Okay, so now, ooh, yeah. Notice I like to go from the first to the third on that stretch. Get the middle on that one, because there's 2 lots of rolls on this. You can do it like this, with going from the first finger to the pinky. Yeah. But I know I'm going to add more colour anyhow, because I'm going to think to myself, I want that flat 7 in there, man. I want that flat 7, you know. So I'm going to put that bad boy in there, because I might be going to this one here. Let me just prefer flats, so I'll change that to a flat 5. And then I can think to myself, all right, okay, look, there's my pentatonic. And now I've got that going on there. So I would probably do a detour through that there. So that would be... Yeah, I'm missing a note there. Put that one there. Wants to be blue. Boom. I could even put my flat 5 in there as well. Yeah, so you can start to see how those all fit in there. Right, let me get rid of these. But that's an E minor shaped arpeggio. Okay, but wherever that happens, that's underneath it. Split it up. I'm going from the flat 3rd, root 5th, flat 3rd, root. 1, Yeah, so now you've got some other options here. So you're really one of the things that you can't really see it's just over that shoulder there. I've got my whole artist's area there where I paint, and I think sometimes what done before is I've taken 3 colours, and it's called having a limited palette. And in music, I think if you limit your palette, it forces you to just be a little bit think a little bit differently. So by just having this, it limits the palette. And a limited palette, and you know when you hear like, oh yeah, Cézanne was in his blue period, and he was just focusing on what he could do with the color blue and what values he could get out of that. Then this was an interesting. So it just gives you a different kind of perspective on this. I think that's the way of looking at it, because everything's just about perspective, really. Get rid of that one there. So we've got that one there. Now what we can do is, and I love how this just reveals these little secret chords that you know. I love that chord there. That little voicing. Just playing it as a chord. But now you can see that the root note, and this is where the cage system comes in, the D shape. Let me move my starting fret up to the 6th fret here. The D shape that we have here, we can look at it as there. Why is it not? There we go. Hang on. There. We've got the 5th, and then we've got the root, and then we've got the flat 3rd, and then we've got the 5th just here. So here's another little pattern that's a really nice one to get under your fingers. But the thing is, what we can do with this is, am I on the wrong fret here? I think I might be. So we have to think about this. Now that root, I don't find that the most useful one, but that is essentially, we're thinking of that as being the D minor shape. Okay, so if you think about it, what we want to do is we want to move into the next shape in the cage system. So if this is D minor shape, if this is a, oh, where's my hand? If this is a D minor shape, then the shape that comes after it is C, A, G, E, D, and we go back to C. So what we need is a C minor shape. So instead of having that root note there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plonk it there instead. Okay, and this is infinitely easier for organising your fingers. So we go like this. We go. Could have the 5th there as well if I wanted. And then you start to see all these little chord shapes, these little triads that where you can voice lead. Yeah, so we could do stuff like that. But interestingly, like I did before, well, hang on, I'll put that one back in actually. Yeah, what we can do is, remember we had this major one? Oh. Yeah. So we can have all these different shapes in there, but I wonder if I can do that. Let me just look at this. I'm going to put this into D major. I'm going to reset down to fret 1. I'm going to put the D major in there, 5 R3, and we put that there, so we can see it's going to look a bit different. this is chord 1. And then what I can do is I can think to myself, well, chord 2 would start here. Yeah. It's going to, and then if I put that on, that's a 2. The 5th is going to, sorry, the 2, then the, what's going on here? So. Oh, the overlap. The overlap. It's going to be a hard diagram to draw, is that? But it would be 6. It would be that. Okay. Oh no, it wouldn't. It would be that instead. And then if I go like this, you can see where the next shape comes up, and then the next note would be here. Yeah. So 6, 2, 4, 6. Those are the degrees from the scale, the parent scale as well, for the chord 2. So look, now I can play that one there, and that's the minor pattern. So just going undoing that. There's the major pattern. Oop. Yeah, and then we can move into a minor pattern, and we could just keep it on those 3 strings, which is a useful pattern that you should get your head around as well. So those there. So I think that's probably the best way to look at those, and then you put it together. And I think it's useful to take. I think it's useful then to take wrong one, Ricky. That one there. It's to take these then and make yourself some little etudes, yes, and try and keep these arpeggio shapes close to each other, or move them into a place where they are more amenable for your hands. Yes, for your hands. That's everything has to fit your hands, because you know, as you well probably realise, most of the guys out there that are world class have huge hands, and they find it huge hands and spindly thin fingers. They're excessively long thumbs. Yes, not thumbs. That would be useful for hitchhiking. Pinkies. Yeah. So really, there's all that going on, guys. Hopefully that's kind of gleaned a light on this, and what you've got to do now is you've got to put this together in a, you know, into some sort of progression. I would do that, and use a chord. So chords from something like an Ed Sheeran song. Go and look on Ultimate Guitar, pick an Ed Sheeran song or 4 chords, and just work it out. Make a little study for yourself. Figure it all out. Write it all out. Pen and paper. You know, I'm a big fan of pen and paper to get all this stuff down. And that's what you want to really do. And if you wanted to, you could just take this idea and just maybe even just do it into a string pair etude. You know, so you go like this. So you go. Hang on, let me just show you. I'll zoom in again. Yeah. So say. There's my root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th. These are D shapes. Yeah. There. So we've got this. We could put them into those patterns as well. So yeah, and put them in there. Put a little arpeggio on the top of a scale run. Put it, and then, you know, start an arpeggio, and then maybe move up into a scale, and then end on a lick. You know, this just mixing it up like that. It's just up to you what you want to do with this stuff, really. But the long and short of it is we're using the 3 master triads to see the intersects between the cage shapes, okay, and then how they fit in the framework of the chords, which are the north stars, and the scales that sit on top of those, that like we did in the week 2 of this is, and how we modify those majors and minor scales into the modal equivalents, you know, by sharpening 4s and flattening 7ths, and you know, for flattening the 2nd for Phrygian and all that sort of stuff. We've got to think about all that going on there, which is why you need to know the modal formulas, which is why you need to know your scale formulas, yeah, which just so happen to be. It's why I include them in the back of the book, because I knew we were going to get that. I knew it, and I know it's information that you're going to come across. Annick says, "Hey Ricky, I have a question." Perfect. Ask away. So yeah, so like I say, in the book, yeah, so you can see there, okay, the common scale formula, and we've got common chord formulas. Those are the chords and the scales I think you're probably going to come across, and those ones, if you get good at those, then you've got all of them that you're going to need, really, essentially. I think harmonic minor, melodic minor, altered scale, Phrygian dominant, and depends if Phrygian dominant if you're into your metal. So all that sort of stuff. Just waiting for Annick's question to come in. But yeah, like I say, 3 elements of pitch, add rhythm. That's it. What is a guitar? What is a guitar? A guitar is a 5-string instrument. And there's banjo players like looking around at the minute going, what? So the 3 arpeggios are 1-3-5, 1 sharp 3-5, and then I don't know what you're on about with the sharp with that there. Look, Sean, pull this up. So the 3 arpeggios, there's the 3 master shapes. Those are the master shapes, which basically follow the root 3rd, 5th, 3rd, 5th, 3rd, 5th root, and 5th root 3rd. Okay. So those are the 3 triads that we get, the inversions in there. Okay, and then once we have them, we have our North Stars to be able to add other intervals which give different quality. Okay, hopefully you that makes sense. When it comes to triads, if you want to talk about triads, then really we've got major, we've got minor. Those are your 2 basic ones that you need to know first. You need to know those first, because once you realise that an augmented is basically a major triad with a 5th that has been raised up a half step, augmented, that's why it's called augmented, then you know that that's an augmented triad. If you get the 5th lowered one, yeah, root 3rd, 5th, root 3rd, root flat 3rd, flat 5th, then you get a diminished. Okay, so really a diminished is trying to be a minor, but failing because of its 5th. Okay, so that's what's going on there. I'm sorry about the ads, guys. Oh, thank you, Gitsuron. We'll watch without the commercials. Triads are going to be my favourite subject. There you go. That's what it's about. Yeah, so Paul says, yeah, major, minor, diminished, and augmented. But also, there are 2 more, actually. We get the suspended 2nd triad, and we get the sus4 triad. So really, I kind of think there's 6 triads. Yeah, and that kind of takes care of those, really. But you know that the suspensions, they kind of have a different kind of thing going on there. So you can adapt these patterns for these as well, which is worth working out. Pen, paper. Okay. So Annick's question was, while practicing, do I follow the notes of the scale or arpeggio notes of the chords? Well, if it's arpeggios, it's the chord that's showing the way. Yeah, the underlying chord is really what you're focusing on. So, you know, say something came up and it was like, yeah, so it said A minor. A minor. I could think to myself, okay, so got my scale there. Yeah, but then I could think to myself, scale, chord, arpeggio. Yeah, so chord. Oh, so that's major. Chord, scale, arpeggio. They're all there in the same spot. So really, it's kind of start arpeggio. Look. Now what I'm doing there is I'm outlining the D minor and I'm seeing the shape there. But I put in a 9 in there. Yeah, because I can see there's the A minor, there's the D minor just there. I could do the same there. Fingers aren't doing as they're told today. Yeah, that's a nice one as well, that D minor. Yeah, fingers aren't having it. It happens. Anyhow, guys, I'm gonna call that it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you're going to apply this. Remember, this is the third part of a series. We've got the chords, we've got the scales, and we've got the arpeggios. They're linked. Those videos are linked in the video description. And I'm going to say to you, there is no live until the 5th of November. I know we had no live last week because of technical issues, but something else has come up, and we have no live until the 5th of November. But I have programmed plenty of uploads in the meantime, including I've put one up there for people keep asking for a diminished chords thing. So there's a couple programmed for diminished chords. Keep an eye out for those videos there. And like I say, in case you need a fix of waffle and baffle, then look in the video description below for the Rosetta Stone video, because I feel that's a very important video that you need to watch as well. So really, 5 videos to go at. Yeah, part 1, part 2, part 3, chord, scales, arpeggios, Master Triad patterns, and the Rosetta Stone, so that explains everything is a synonym. Okay, and then that's what we're gonna do. Right, guys. So that just about wraps it up. We are 2 hours 24 into this live stream. Let's call it a day. I'm gonna bid you a fond adieu and remind you who you're playing guitar for. Who are you playing guitar for? Who are you playing guitar for, guys? Tell me in the chat. Who are you playing guitar for? Who are you trying to impress? It's just yourself. It's the only person who's important enough to impress. Right? Don't worry about everybody else. So, okay, you're playing guitar for yourself. With this lot, yeah, definitely get some paper out. Get some paper, draw some diagrams, get lost in it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, just enjoy yourself. Just dive into it, and it's one of those things you'll thank yourself for it later on if you do that. Get some markers, get some colour highlighters, and everything else like that. Okay, so that's what I'm saying to you guys. Thank you to everybody who's donated to the Keep Ricky's Lights On at Home Fund. And then so I super appreciate you being here. Much love to you guys for coming along today. Thank you for coming along and watching today, and being part of the conversation, being part of the community. We will reconvene in November, and I'll have a different juicy topic what are those days again? We're not back until we're not until 5th of November. 5th of November. Oh, Lawrence. Oh, thank you very much, Lawrence. Super appreciate that. Time off. That says time. I never have time off. Yes, the wife. The wife. Yes. So we'll see you next time. Stock up on all that stuff. And then I'll see you very, very soon. So, like I say, take care of yourself and take care of each other, okay? And don't take everything too seriously. You've always got your guitar. Your guitar's your friend. You know this. Your guitar is your friend. Okay? So just play it more. Okay? If anything starts getting silly out there in the world, pick up your guitar, have a strum, play something that you know is going to make you happy. Just do that. It's great. It's perfect. Mwah. Love my guitar. Best thing ever. Right. Okay, guys. See you later. Much love. Oh, thank you, my Persuade. Thank you very much. Oh, appreciate that very much. I have to acknowledge that one there. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. We can afford to put an extra light bulb in the lamp. So there we go. All right, guys. Yes, hang on. Sean says that. I guess I'll practice. Aren't you practicing already? Yeah, there you go. I'm going to go now. I am going. You hang up first. No, you hang up first. I'll hang up. Shall I hang up? I'll hang up. Much love to you guys then from us. Okay, bye.